Okay, so bringing yourself into a lying position. And go ahead and bend your knees up so your feet are on the floor. And play around with the position of your feet, really making sure that they're not too far, not too close to your bottom, that they feel well balanced. Your knees neither want to fall in towards each other or out and away from each other. And there's a sense of your knees being somehow balanced over your feet. And then, just thinking back to last week's lesson a little bit, just letting yourself roll your head just a little to the right and to the left, feeling the quality of that movement. Which is your preferred side? Noticing if your eyes follow and go with you. Do your eyes lead your head, or do they follow your head? As you begin to attend to these movements, does your breathing change? And then just let your head rest in the middle. And then just lightly lift your right shoulder away from the floor and your left shoulder away from the floor. Just alternate a little bit. Right and then left. And notice what your head does. Does your head stay in the middle? Notice if there's a little invitation for your head to turn a little bit, either away from or towards your shoulder. Just listening. There may be, there may not be. Luckily, you can't get it wrong. And then let your shoulders relax. And very gently begin to tilt your knees just a little bit right and left. Now for those of you who have some low back issues, I expect you to know your limits. Right? So we're not stretching, we're not doing range of motion, we're just listening for the quality of movement. And if just taking your knees 1 to 2 inches from side to side feels like enough, it feels safe, feels like you won't quote unquote pay for it later, then 1 to 2 inches is plenty. If you're safe going further, comfortable, if there's a lot of freedom, go for it. But begin to listen to which direction is easier, lighter, more natural. Is there a quality, either to the right or to the left, that just for some reason that you may not even be able to articulate, seems like your preferred side? And then pause in the middle. Just sort of check in, make sure that the amount of movement that you've engaged in is still agreeable to the rest of your body. And then begin to lightly and slowly tilt your legs to your preferred side and back to the middle. And feel how you roll across the back of your pelvis. So not only do your knees go to that side, but your weight shifts behind your pelvis to that side. Just feel that. And you can even travel your attention up to your lower back and the back of your ribs And as you take your legs back and forth to your preferred side and back to the middle, feel how the weight shifts in the back of your lower ribs. Does the weight shift behind your shoulder blades? Is there any change of weight in your arms? And then again, just pause in the middle. So for those of you who are new to Feldenkrais, we're obviously not stretching, doing range of motion. We're not strengthening the muscles in the traditional way, but hopefully we're inviting the nervous system to attend and become more efficient so that your movements can be more fluid, more graceful, softer and easier. Moshe Feldenkrais said, what we are after is not flexible bodies, but flexible minds. So again, tilt your knees a little bit to your preferred side and back to the middle. And see if there is an invitation to your head. So follow the changes, how the weight changes along your trunk as it rests on the floor, up your spine. So you're setting up this whole rotation in one direction. And to the extent that that invitation is extended from your pelvis, up your spine, and possibly all the way up to your neck. It's a little revelationary, if that's a word. Does your head know that it's connected to your pelvis through movement? Or might there, as often is, be some areas that the brain has decided need to hold tight, to hold you together, to keep you going, and therefore the head has forgotten its relationship with the pelvis. It happens. It can unhappen. So just decide, if you can't tell which way your head wants to roll, make it up. Just make up, like, I think maybe it wants to roll either the same direction or the opposite direction as my knees. And just play with that a little bit. Play with letting it roll, either the same way or the opposite way. And just feel into that. How does that feel? And when you've tried taking it 3 or 4 or 5 times, one direction, your head, continue taking your knees to the preferred direction and take your head the other direction. And you might be thinking, what's the crazy woman talking about? It feels the same either way. And that may very well be true for you. Or you might start to notice, when I take my knees one way and I take my head this way, for some of you it's going to be the same way, for some of you it's going to be the opposite way, that feels like what my body wants. It's such a beautiful thing to begin to know what your body wants. From the time we're little ones, and they put us in school. They're pretty good in kindergarten and first grade, but little by little, the teachers need to manage us, and all the little one's body wants to do is wiggle and giggle and play, and all the teacher wants is for us to sit still and shut up. So little by little, we learn to not listen to what the body wants. So just pause for a minute. You could let your legs long if that's comfortable for you, or leave them up. Or if you need to, you could even take a break on your side. Just give it all up. Surrender to the moment. Feel your breathing. Be grateful for taking the time for you. And then bring your knees back up, please, and find the position that feels most stable for your feet, supporting your legs. And begin to take your knees the opposite way that you've been taking them. And just start out by listening. Just thinking, does this feel different, this opposite way? Does it feel different on my pelvis? Does it travel differently up my spine? How your weight shifts as your knees and your pelvis shift. Notice as you concentrate on your body if you're restricting in any way your breathing, or if you're clenching your teeth or holding your mouth in any particular way, and just see if you can let it all go. And then begin to explore which way the head wants to roll. See if you can figure out what the invitation is from your knees and pelvis, and play with one direction a few times. Play with the other direction a few times. Sometimes surprising things happen. Like for a few people, you might take your knees to the right and find out that your head wants to roll to the right. But then when you take your knees to the left, you might find out that your head still wants to roll to the right. Isn't that interesting? These amazing bodies, magnificently complex. And then again, just pause in the middle. And then lightly begin to take your knees right and left, smoothly, evenly, and let your head roll the same direction as your knees, so that your nose is following the tips of your knees as it goes to the side, and both come back to the middle at the same time. Now, what would happen if you tried to continue doing this movement in the same way, but you fixed your eyes on a point on the ceiling? So your head still rolls with your knees, but you keep your eyes centered on the ceiling. Did you change your breathing? or the configuration of your mouth in any way, to focus a little more. And then just let your eyes go, let them follow your head a couple times, or lead your head a couple times. And then see what it's like to take your head the opposite direction of your knees. Notice where your eyes go. And what if you continue doing this, knees and head opposite direction, and fixed your eyes on the ceiling? Does your head still want to move? And then go ahead and just let it all go. Pause for a moment. Or two. And thinking back to what it was like when you first began to take your knees from side to side, first begin to actually feel or just sort of make up which was your preferred side. And just one last time, take your knees a couple times, left and right. Feel the movement through your pelvis, through your spine. See if the back of your neck is any softer, if your head just naturally wants to roll a little bit with your knees. And when you've done that a few times, just pause and then take your time, staying in your sensations with any experiences that these movements have brought you, and roll to your side. Slowly come to sitting and standing. And just take a few moments to walk around, and again, not making any direct eye contact, but just feeling into the effects of the lesson. And once you're up walking, just kind of play with what turning around and looking behind you is like, what your neck feels like, your shoulders, or just how you take in the world. How does the world come to you? And as you go through your day, just remembering that when your head turns, something may happen in your low back and your pelvis. And when your pelvis turns, lo and behold, it's connected to your head and your eyes.